Roz Carter, mothers and grandmothers. Mothers and grandmothers, Roz Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. No one in this room can deny that they were not born without a mother. Sure, the dad had something to do with it, but the mother carried us in her womb. We could feel and hear her heartbeat. And the first skin that we touched after birth. There's a bond, a connection with a mother that is like nothing else in the world. My mother was born in 1933, and she was the youngest of 8 children. My grandmother was funny. She told great stories, and her mother kept her aware of the thoughts of her father because my mom was only 4 months old when her father passed away. During many years of growing up, my grandmother lived with us. She cooked, cleaned, and was there when we came home from school. Now, how many children did my mom and dad have? It was 5 of us, and I was the second born. 3 girls and 2 boys. The story about my youngest brother is when my parents bought a new home in New Orleans, and my mother told my dad, I need another baby. I have a new house. I want a new baby. He said, okay, if that's what you want. And so it became 5 of us. But being born in New Orleans, Louisiana, there were a lot of things that were going on at the time. Many of you recall in the 60s, the civil rights movement. And while I am fair complexion, I am considered Black. My parents, their parents, and all of our ancestry that came from England had been merged with the mulattoes in Louisiana. So we get our fair complexion from them, but all of my relatives, and there's a lot of them, we are all shades and all colors. The thing about being from a large family is that when it comes time to family reunions, I remember one year there was about 800 of us because everyone, my mom's sisters and brothers, as well as my dad, had lots of children. And they had lots of children. So family is the core of my life. When we would have dinner at my parents' house, we would sit around the table for hours until my mother said, okay, you guys all have a home to go to. It's time to go. It's 2:00 in the morning. Because storytelling was part of our life. The spiritual background that we have, born and raised Catholic, speaks for itself. Now, my mom had jobs that were seasonal, like being a seamstress or maybe working at a grocery store. But for the most part, she was a stay-at-home mom to raise 5 children and take care of her husband. When I was 17, I had a baby, and my mother strongly encouraged me to give her up for adoption. And while I probably could have made a different decision, I really didn't take that opportunity. My mom was very disappointed. But 36 years later, my baby found me. And we've been in each other's life since 2006. The best thing that ever happened to me. I have 3 grown children. My oldest daughter's 51, my other daughter's 45, and my youngest son is 41. Now, I have an extended family thanks to my husband, they all live in New Jersey. So I have 2 additional children, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great grandchildren. My gray hairs might speak to my age, but I certainly don't feel like I'm an old woman. I'm getting there. Being born in New Orleans and coming up through the South, activities, if you will call it that, it nurtured something in me that said faith and love is the mainstream of our lifelong bloodstream, thanks to my mother. And as a grandmother now, I find I'm just like her. The life we live is based on them. We look at our grandchildren and we think of our children as a mirror of them, just as I'm sure my mother and grandmother looked at us as a mirror of them. Imagine back to the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, and now there is that distinct flavor of Creole, Louisiana, great food, dancing, fun, storytelling, and a wonderful life that is only surpassed by our faith in God. Keep the faith, extend the love, and remember that our grandmothers and mothers and what we are today is an extension of them. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.